All right, so I just put Kita down. We're at the workstation right now, and I'm starting to kind of work on building this out. So I finally got the Hermes Agent to work again. So it is functional. I can text it now. For a while, I was having problems with that. So I'm using Cowork right now, so Claude Cowork, to basically build this out. So I had to kind of run through some things with Fable and kind of make a plan, like a roadmap. So we had different stages we're going through right now. We're still on C1 because I had to build a couple other things out for the brand. And then now we are soon to move on to C2. So C1 was kind of like getting it to work again. So we just got that to work again. We figured it out. It was like literally just like a naming issue, basically, which is ridiculous, right? I think it was like an issue with like how we name things like within like there was like some update, I guess, and then it changed the name for something, and yeah. So Claude Cowork definitely helped me out on that one. I don't think I would be able to figure that out by myself. I probably would have to like uninstall stuff and reinstall it. So yeah, that's where we're at now. And then I'm really struggling with like how I want to set up these agents. So like here's like the list again of like all the agents we're trying to set up, okay? And then the thing is with each of these agents, I've got to really clearly define their roles, and that's kind of like where I'm at. Like how am I going to really clearly define their roles? Um, and how am I going to make it so the orchestrator sends things correctly to them? Now, there's a lot of things that are going to go into each of these agents. You've got things like memory. You have like guide rails you're going to have to set up for the agents. Each agent, and how they're going to communicate. That's going to be a whole nother issue. Like how do I want these agents to communicate with one another? Um, and then I need like checks and balances. So like I need to make sure that they ask me for permission for some things. Um, yeah, we're gonna have to pick models for each of these agents. Kind of debating which models to use right now. Currently, I'm using OAuth, like I said, so I'm using ChatGPT with OAuth, so I pay for the Plus membership, and you get a certain amount of credits. Will that be enough credits? I don't know. We'll have to see. And then we get. I might be purchasing Grok because I think Grok is going to be the future for AI agents, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to have to mess around with this. I'm probably going to end up paying the $30 for Grok, Super Grok, and there's like Super Grok Heavy. So there's Super Grok Light, Super Grok like the regular one, and then Super Grok Heavy. Heavies cost $300 a month. Light gives me access to their developer things. I think that's how I get OAuth. I gotta figure that out. So that's next. Next is gonna figure out how do I get Grok's OAuth now, so that I can use Grok with these agents. All right, let's dive in. I'm gonna try to figure that out, and I'll touch base with you guys when I do figure that out. All right, bye. All right, so just purchased Super Grok to add Grok OAuth, hopefully, and then ChatGPT is already connected. So what I have currently is I'm using like the mini model. So I think I'm using 5.5 mini to do like heavy lifting. Okay, so it's the more cost-effective model because you'll run out of usage. So that's something to keep in mind. So you run out of usage, and then you got to use something else, and then you have to use API keys. API keys bill you per usage. So even if you have like a ChatGPT plan, but then you are using an API key with ChatGPT, it bills it separately. So it's something to keep in mind. Kind of building this out. Again, I've done this before, and this is the part I'm very familiar with. I set this up myself without AI, but I'm having AI kind of like really just like help me like organize my thoughts right now, and kind of like how do I want to set up like Cowork. So I'm using Claude Cowork for this, and Claude unfortunately doesn't have an OAuth option, or else I would be using it. They do, but it's like they really don't want you using it with agents. It's even in their terms and services. So I'm not gonna try that. So because they're running probably issues, they'll cut it off and maybe restrict some of my access to my plan or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna mess with it because I like using Cowork so much. So yeah, we've got all that rolling, and then yeah. So now right now I just literally had basically ChatGPT, not ChatGPT. Ugh. Claude is going through, Cowork is going through, helping me do the OAuth for Grok. There's like certain commands you basically put in the terminal, and then it brings you to a link to log in. You log in, and then you paste a code typically in there, and that's basically how you do OAuth. It sounds really hard and really complicated when you first do it, and then you're like, oh, that was really easy. So OAuth, but sometimes OAuth can have quirks that API keys don't. API keys are just like boom, it's like fires. All right, so I'm having one heck of a time getting this installed. So I actually had to update Hermes because it's been a while since I've like used it. So working on updating it now, and then ran into some other issues where essentially, like it's not recognizing that. Probably because I waited just way too long for to update it and everything too. So now I'm going through this whole process of updating. It's still like trying to pull the old version, so trying to fix that. Because I can't add Grok OAuth until I do all that. So it needs to be the most. I don't think they had it in the version I had previously. So you couldn't use OAuth with Grok with the previous Hermes incident. So that's what we're doing. Here's actually the plan, the list of so the two like AP or the two OAuth options with Grok and OpenAI, like what I'm going to use ideally, hopefully, and then the backup. Here's my backup now. So I chose NVIDIA. It's kind of like a backup to free option. Just when if I run out of usage on OpenAI or Grok, now I can use NVIDIA. And I set it up so that every time I Slack message it, it messages me back, and it also tells me the model it's using currently. So I can see if I run out of usage and I start using NVIDIA, or I can see what model it's using. If it's using like a model, it's like that would be designed for complex tasks, then I don't want to use, like that needs to be using Grok is the idea. Grok 4.5 is a very powerful model right now, apparently. Very quick, like super, super quick, compared to like ChatGPT and Claude. So that's kind of like the more complex reasoning. And then the more mini version of OpenAI I'm going to use to basically run like day-to-day stuff. That's kind of the plan. That's my envisioned plan, I guess. But currently having a lot of issues right now, like really struggling with getting this all to work. So yeah. Oh man, it's getting late again, and it's already like 8:30, and I'm not done with even creating this thing yet, and I still have to edit this video right here. Having a lot of issues with it trying to use. I guess I had two Hermes instances. Like I'm just trying to sort through that right now and figure that out. And yeah, it's like trying to access like an old ChatGPT OAuth I had, which was like 5.3, and it's like trying to use that at the same time that it every once in a while uses the correct one. Where I'm using like Luna, which is 5.6. I'm trying to build out this like these agents, and I don't know, it's not even getting past like the ChatGPT deal. I don't know. It's like trying to do one of these tasks with that, but we can't find it. And by we I mean Claude and I. So yeah, it's getting late. Hopefully I can get this done real quick here. Ooh. And it takes forever once you like to think through things. Like apparently that's what Grok's good for, so I might run some tests for that, but a later date. I thought I was gonna have problems with the Grok OAuth, and it seemed to work. So super stoked for that. But yeah, that's a lot. Going back and forth with this thing right now. Going back and forth. All right. Okay, so unfortunately, out of the, I guess, 6 agents I wanted to create, because 5 agents under a sub orchestrator, I only made 2 today out of the entire 6. So those 5 agents underneath, I've made one of the 5 agents, and then I made the orchestrator. That's it. And I haven't even been able to test these agents or anything yet. So I did test the sales agent, which is the one I made today that was not the orchestrator. So I can't test the orchestrator yet. That's the one I'm worried about. So, I mean, tomorrow is my last day to kind of finish this up. And that's a little bit concerning because, like, look, it's completely dark. It's like 9:16 right now. It's taking me forever to get this rolling. It's a little bit concerning because Yeah, I feel like I got a lot of work to do, and I gotta like test it all, make sure it's all working. Um, yeah, so hopefully I get this done. But I spent all day working on this, and I'm like, I gotta actually work on some other stuff too. Um, I got a huge workload going. But yeah, here's kind of what I did today. So, and here's kind of like the plan that we've been trying to really work on. So I'm gonna go through it all. So we're gonna kind of dive into it. I'm gonna have a bunch of slides kind of pop up on the screen. I'll go through each of them. Um, so yeah, let's start. We'll dive in. Okay, so this is gonna be the first slide's kind of like the whole machine. So essentially, here's kind of the goal. We want to attract our clients. We want to convert them, like get them like start to reply back, and then we want to try to book them, and then delivery. So we have like wedding day, editing, delivering the gallery, and then we have grow. So grow being like after the fact. We want to get reviews, referrals, keep them top of mind so they kind of enter that new system. So a lot of this is going to go, and I'm probably going to tweak a lot of this as we go. But what falls underneath the tracks is going to be the website, the blog posts, Instagram ads, our planning app that we've created that we're potentially going to use as like a lead magnet. And then convert's going to be first reply. So we're going to be really quick to replying. So it's running every 10 minutes. It's going to run a cron job, which is basically a timed job that it's going to quickly just check to make sure we didn't get any new leads. If we get a new lead, then it's going to be like, all right, it's going to draft a response. Send it to me like, hey, I drafted this response for approval to send. It's going to save it in the drafts in my email, hopefully. If not, then I'm going to have to fix that. And then we go into this, hopefully, discovery call. If not, just going to be a lot of texting back and forth. Proposal is going to be sent. I do a very elaborate proposal, so it's going to make a very custom proposal for each client. And then hopefully we get booking, and it's going to help me through the booking process. And we have delivery. And these are going to be like, these could be different agents, like, but it's just the process. So we have the wedding day, like me developing the film lab is what I called it for AI, but it's basically me developing and scanning film, converting it, or actually sending it off to a film lab if it's Super 8 or 16 millimeter, because I don't do the RemJet stuff yet and don't have the equipment to develop video film. It's very expensive. And then we have our editing and gallery delivery, right? So then the last one's gonna be like requesting reviews and being top of mind for referrals and stuff like that. So it's kind of our first little bit, and then we have this second one. So this is gonna be the AI operating system. Basically, this is us designing the AI system, okay? So this is the AI system. So just saying that I'm in charge of our decision, Claude, the architect with Fable and whatnot. Fable's not great at making diagrams. This is made in Fable, by the way. I'm not impressed. I'm actually more impressed with like Sonnet. I think Sonnet's a way better option. I've had better diagrams. I don't know. I was also rushed, right? So we have the chief of staff, which looks over everything, right? So that's already been made. Everything in orange has been made. It's only two things. And I just added another agent I'm going to make. I'm going to go over that in a sec here. So we have sales, marketing, client experience, production, and operations. So yeah, it's kind of like what we have. And then I'm going to go over our chief of staff and what they're in charge of in a basic sense. So we have chief of staff hired and live. Reports twice a day, morning briefing, evening check-in. Routes every task to the right agent. Tracks work until it's actually done, which hopefully I got to make sure that happens really well. Never talks to clients, reports only to me. So this is kind of like my right-hand man, right? Or right-hand bot. Then we have the sales agent, also hired in live. Watches inquiries around the clock, wakes up within 10 minutes. So that's what it's like. Every 10 minutes, going to wake up, check for inquiries, and then be able to send it to me. I will probably change that at night. I don't think I want it to wake up every 10 minutes. It doesn't need to, but maybe I'll just keep it that way. I don't know. We'll see. Apparently, it's doing that without using AI. So somehow we did that without actually using AI. So it doesn't use AI unless it actually like finds something and like, oh, we got a new inquiry. So that's interesting. I got to figure out how that works exactly. It's connected to Notion, which is like, I don't know. All right. So researches the couples and their venue, drafts the entire first reply, sends nothing, pings my phone, I hit send. So that's what I was talking about earlier. So that's kind of what we have built out so far. So, and what we plan to build. And then I was working on another agent, which is going to be like my in the field agent. So if I'm like in the field, it's going to have like all the couple's information that we have so far. It's going to have a bunch of my like backup like starting points and prompts if I'm like out in a couple session and I have to like do more prompting, which I don't typically try to do because we're more documentary. But if I need to, it'll have that. So it's like, yeah, so I guess I could do a little more research where like if I have like really iffy service but I can just get a message out and receive messages, it will do the research by itself and then boom, send it back to me. And I'm also like out there shooting, so I'm like shooting and then just wait for my phone to buzz, boom. I can be like, oh, I got it. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Or if I like forgot the timeline or something, or like lost the timeline because I actually don't really download it on my phone, you know, or my phone runs out of battery, then I'm screwed because that's how I connect to this. So yeah, so I mean, just like kind of like a backup fail safe, like in the field, help me out. I don't know how well it's gonna work. I'm hoping it will work really well. If I have like priorities I need to hit, it'd be like I'm in this like instead of like fumbling through my phone and going through like these long documents I create for couples, I can just be like, hey, we're in the family portrait session. Give me the family portrait list. Boom, and it's like and simplify it and like keep it nice and like it could do stuff like that, which would be really 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 useful. I'd probably still want to try to eventually double check it to make sure we got everything. But if I have the documents uploaded and stuff, it should be no problem. All right. That's what we've built. We've got to make the other. I just added another agent. So now instead of 6, we have 7 agents. We've only done 2. We have 5 more agents to make tomorrow. We've only made 2 today, which is crazy. So hopefully we can be a lot quicker tomorrow. It took us all day to make 2. So it's gonna be very hard. So let's talk a little bit about the structure. So the Act 2 structure. Let me pull up my phone because I've got it in there. Okay. So Act 2 starts kind of off the plot point 1, right? So that we had yesterday. So it's like you're committed now, right? That's plot point 1. And then rising action is kind of like our first little bit. So the interface kind of begins to take shape. We're starting to work on it, right? So like, and then midpoint, everything just changed. You realize, so basically for me, let's see, what would be the midpoint? I mean, I was trying to kind of play into the idea of, like, I was like, oh, like, what if I run out of, like, the API thing, and then, like, I don't know. That actually ended up being, like, not much of a problem in the OAuth with, Grok, and, yeah, it wasn't really, that was more complications, I guess. So, I don't know. Maybe I kind of lacked on the midpoint. I'm trying to think back. I mean, I'm literally like making these stories and then like, I'm like still in the story right now. So it's kind of hard to like go back. But let's keep moving on. So all is lost. So that's kind of like, well, honestly, so I can answer the next part really easily, but like all is lost is like all the issues I try to do a lot of all is lost issues because I'm like, I got to make this like it's got to become messy, clunky, and it definitely did. It took me way longer than it should have all day. And right now I'm even having issues where I can't go to the agent workspace dashboard to view things visually like I like to do. So a lot of all is lost issues, and there's been multiple. I was like trying to lean into the API a bit, but actually it ends up being and we're doing this stuff like live, like this is like real life, so it's like I can't just like fabricate. I'm not like writing this story, I'm like actually just like living the story and trying to like find these plot points right as I'm going through this stuff and try to like keep those open. That's the challenge of these videos, right? The challenge of doing this stuff for YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm trying to do this more in my videos, so that's why it's been very hard. So yeah, all is lost. I mean, honestly, it was like we had a bunch of issues throughout the whole thing, the whole process. The ghost, like the fact that I was like picking up my old instance of Hermes Agent and trying to use both instances in my VPS was, I didn't mention that a whole lot, but that was the biggest problem today, honestly. They created a lot of issues, and that was where I was trying to use ChatGPT 5.3. That didn't. I guess I can't use that anymore. So you have to use it on the newer models. And then reflection. So, kind of going back and like thinking about, okay, like what can I do differently? Basically, I mean, like taking a step back. There has to be like another way. So, I mean, currently what I'm doing right now, I'm consulting with co-work to try to get this figured out. So it's kind of like the other way, right? So, and trying to figure that out. And that's kind of where Act 2 ends. So, and then we're going to get some more drama tomorrow, hopefully. Technically, you're supposed to. So it's all about, with AI, it's all about the system, right? It's all about creating, like with these agents, it's all about creating the skills. So I'm actually creating skills. I just created an AI doctor within Cowork. So now, or not my, Hermes Agent doctor, so that I can go in and it can help me fix these problems a little bit easier, okay? And it's supposed to be up to date on all the documentation for Hermes. So it's kind of like built in every week that's going to update that once a week. Or if it doesn't find the answer, then it'll check to make sure it can update that. So that's kind of like the Hermes doctor I've built into Cowork. So I do recommend doing that. I did that with ChatGPT too when I first did OpenClaw. Helped me a ton. I had all the documentation already uploaded on a project. And it made finding solutions way faster, way faster. And then, yeah, so then, and then I hopefully have the rest of it kind of all planned out. And it will hopefully go a lot smoother tomorrow. I started doing things within Hermes instead of having Cowork to try to do things to the terminal. I'm like, okay, well, now I have the agent up. Once I got that first agent up, I'm like, okay, I can make things a lot quicker now. So I made the sales agent by just texting my Hermes agent. And that is the power of AI agents and what I'm super stoked about. So if you guys want to catch the rest of this, tomorrow I will be on the last third video of this, Act 3. And I will probably eventually make a video on how to set this whole thing up, okay? Like how to actually set up AI agents within Hermes. That is a like hour-long video on its own. So that's going to be a later date. All right. Well, if you guys like the video, hopefully like, subscribe, wherever the videos are. Make sure you guys click that. The playlist is there for this challenge. Hopefully I'm going to get these videos to be a little bit better. Today I was just at my work. Like this is literally today. I was just at my workspace all day. So sorry it was not super interesting, but hopefully I packed a lot of information in here. And hopefully I kind of followed that Act 2 structure a little bit better. All right. Bye, guys.